Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Barry and this is Centralize, and today I'm going to be talking about 6 newish pickups that I've been wearing over the last 6 weeks or so. So as you know, I've been moving house. I didn't like the last video. I think it looked too messy, too much going on in the background. So I relocated to the kitchen diner. I'll film in here. Hopefully I'll get my spare room a bit more sorted, with a bit less clutter in there, because it did look a bit of a mess. But I've been moving house. I've eventually got into the house, as you can see. But before I moved house, I'd got all my fragrances in boxes. I'd got them at the monster-in-law's house. She's been looking after them. But then I had some people send me a couple. I bought a couple. And so those few that I'd got on me, I've been wearing whilst the house move has gone on. And it's only recently that I've got a couple of my boxes back. But until I do that spare room, I've still got the majority of my boxes of fragrances at the monster-in-law's. So here are 6 fragrances that I have been wearing, and I'll give you the background behind them. The first 2 were sent to me by one of my subscribers, a guy called McConnell. He reached out to me, said he'd got a couple of fragrances that are a bit more challenging, and he'd like to send them to me. So I was like, yeah, do you want anything for them? And he was like, no, definitely don't want anything for them. So I was happy to take them off his hands, always willing to try new things. And the first one that he sent me is this. And it's a Boadicea, the Victorious, and it's called, I don't know if you can see that, it's called Delicate. Now, this is challenging. It's very green, it's very floral, it's got a bit of an animalic feel to it. My wife hates it, she doesn't like it at all, but I quite enjoy it, and it's very different to anything that I've been trying. It's quite challenging, but I'm learning to embrace new smells. So I've really been enjoying wearing that, and big thanks to Ben for sending it to me. Really appreciate it, mate. So he also sent me another fragrance, and this is another one that I'd never heard of before, and it was by Illuminum, and it's called Wild Tobacco. So I did a bit of research, had a look, and you can get this quite cheap now. I think it was like ridiculous money originally, but you can get these quite cheap now. And I've been looking at the rest in the range. So this is what it looks like. Nice little snazzy bottle. Really like the look of that. Little 50ml. So this opens like with a clary sage and cloves. Now I love the clove note, so really enjoying that. It's quite spicy, got a bit of a herbal feel, but the main player in this is tobacco. And it's completely different to any other tobacco smell that I've smelled before. This isn't like a tobacco leaf smell. This is like straight from lots of cigars and cigarettes smell. It really is quite challenging. And the way I picture myself with this is I'm sitting in an old school gentleman's club with Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson discussing a case that we're struggling to resolve. That's the sort of vibe that I'm getting from this, and it's very challenging. Another one that the wife doesn't like, but it's really, really different and another enjoyable fragrance. So Ben, big thanks for those 2. Really appreciate it, mate. So on to my next one, and this is one that I've tried a few clones of. Really enjoy Perfume Parlour's version. I enjoy Pocket Scents version. I've enjoyed the Rosa Salas version. But I thought it was about time that I bought the bottle, and it is Layton by Parfums de Marley. Now this is a smell that I've always enjoyed, and I got in touch with Marcus over at PDM UK on Instagram. He supplied me a few fragrances before, and he managed to get me this for a really good deal. So very happy for that. Go and check Marcus out. In fact, the next one that I'm looking at, I also got off Marcus. So this is amazing, and the original is better than all the clones that I've mentioned. As you would expect, I mean, clones are trying to copy something, but they're not going to be using the same materials or as good a materials as what you're going to get in a niche quality main fragrance. So this is warm, it's spicy, it's got a lovely apple, it's got a bit of sweetness, and it's got a woody aromatic touch to it as well. It's a compliment monster. I love it. The wife loves it. People always mention when I wear it, and I absolutely love it, and I'm so glad I pulled the trigger on this. So that is Layton by Parfums de Marley. So the next one is another one that I picked up off Marcus, and it's one that's been on my list for a long time, but it's one that was always on my list because I'd heard different things about it, and those things intrigued me, but I'd never smelt it. So I reached out to 50 Cents UK, and Ange sent me a sample, and as soon as I smelled the sample, I'd got to get a bottle. So I reached out to Marcus from PDM UK again, and he managed to get me this on a really good deal, and it is Amouage Sunshine Man, and I'm absolutely blown away by this fragrance. This is what it looks like. It's gorgeous. So it's boozy, but it's creamy, and it's got like a slightly fizzy orange in the opening. It's got a fougere feel to it in the dry down. It has spices. It's sweet, it's herbaceous, and also got a slight hay smell from it. It's so complex, and I'm so glad that I picked it up. So big thanks to Marcus, big thanks to Ange for sending me a sample, and I got another fantastic deal for this, and I've been wearing the hell out of it. I absolutely love it. So on to my next one. I'll just give you the backstory to this. Talk and Review did a competition on Instagram. If you haven't seen Talk and Review's YouTube channel, Nick and Anthony, every month they do an Essential Live, where there's a pack of samples that you can buy each month, which are based on certain things like woody or aquatic, and then they smell them all, not knowing what they are, and they give their impressions of it, and they're really good lives. But they did a competition on Instagram when the woody samples were coming out, and I won one of those sample packs. I think there was about 10 winners. So on that live, we were doing a sniff along, and one of them I fell in love with, and funny enough, Anthony, Nick, and a few others that were doing it hated it, which didn't surprise me. But so I went out and purchased the original. I looked for it. I normally buy my fragrances from discounters. If I can't get them from discounters, there's a few people that I reach out to, like Marcus at PDM UK, and there's a couple of eBay users that I use, but other than that, I tend to use discounters. Apart from the perfume shop in the UK, I tend to use them quite often. I've got the loyalty card, and that builds up, and the more you spend, the more discounts you get off, and it's quite good. And I was just browsing their site, and I saw this, and then there was a free bag with it as well, and it was a really cheap deal, the cheapest I'd seen it anywhere. That's including all the discounters, and it is by Polo, Ralph Lauren, and it's Polo Green. So 118ml, and that's the beauty. So this is an old fragrance. I think originally it was like 1978. It's an old school woody chypre, and I absolutely love it. Pine needles, the oak moss are all very prevalent in the opening. It's got some tobacco, some leather, it's got patchouli, it's got a woody feel, hence why it was in the woody samples. But then you got vetiver, you got spices and herbs. Absolutely love it. I really fell in love with this one. And yet I couldn't understand why there was so much hate on it at the same time when they were sniffing it in the Essential Live. But that's it, everybody's got different tastes, and this is amazing. I absolutely adore it. So that was all I was going to talk about, but then last week I managed to pick up another fragrance, and it's one that's been on my hit list for a while. It's a Tom Ford private blend, and it's Tuscan Leather. So I got this off someone who subscribed to my YouTube channel. I also follow him on Instagram, and he reaches out occasionally and asks if I'm interested in buying fragrances that he's selling. So I managed to get this at a really good deal, and I am absolutely over the moon with it. Tuscan Leather is strong leather. There's a hint of raspberry in there, there's saffron, there's a woody feel to it, there's a few spices, and it's amazing. But it's one of these you just do not overspray. I oversprayed it once and I was alright for the first couple of hours, but I started getting nauseous of it once you started getting into 4 or 5 hours. It seemed to change its smell slightly, and it was beginning to get quite annoying. I think the most you need with this is 2 sprays, I really do. But I can't wait to wear this at work in my suit, because it's just ideal for that sort of scenario. And Tuscan Leather, another one of the fragrances that have been on my hit list that's been ticked off. So I hope you like this video. It's just something that I've been wearing and I haven't managed to talk about because I haven't been getting many videos out. Let me know what you've been wearing over like last month to 6 weeks, and I'll speak to you all soon. Stay fragrant, not vagrant.